Turn that damn roof off!
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. You finally made it, folks. It is Friday, and we're going to have a lot of fun here on this Friday because not only are we going to recap the best and worst of the week presented by our friends at Looper Auction and Realty, but we'll also get into some crazy headlines heading into the weekend with BetSaracen, vibe check the chat with our friends at Course Basis Health, and get into your alumni hall question of the day. We'll talk about all the Razorback goings-ons and everything, and probably get into some nonsense too. But fellas, how we feeling here on a Friday post major victory over the number one team in the country? How we feeling?
Pretty good. Vindicated. You know, it feels good to see the boys back on track. That was a lot of fun last night at Baum, man. Really enjoyed it. I was temporarily in a bad mood because I was woken up again by storms, but it looks like it's kind of cleared out and it's starting to clear up a little bit here. So I'm good. The vibes are high.
Yeah. Weather was good yesterday. We were a little bit nervous, but we thought it would clear out by about right now today. And the sun has come out. There is going to be some baseball played at Baum Walker Stadium, and that is horrible news for the Texas Longhorns.
It is, man. After last night, which, as all of you know and saw, because it was the official Inside Arkansas night at Baum Walker. It was not mentioned anywhere, but it was the official Inside Arkansas night. It was a celebration of that. All three of us were there at the game, and we were kind of talking about it before the show. And I know, Andrew, you talked all about it last night on Bombastic, but listen, I enjoy going to games. Everyone enjoys going to games, but you'd be hard pressed. There's a lot of work to be done. You'd be hard pressed to find a more fun, perfect kind of night at Baum Walker than what you experienced last night if you were at the game. I mean, the weather was perfect. It was against Texas. Everyone hates. They're the number one team in the country. You shut them out 9-0. You get a performance like no other by Root. You got the boys out there hitting like crazy. Big Will McIntyre, the most polarizing figure in Razorback baseball history, comes in, throws 3 strikeouts. I mean, like last night was just, you got work to do today and tomorrow. No question about it. But in its moment, last night was about as good as it gets at Baum Walker, and about as good as you could have asked for game one between Arkansas and Texas last night. Yeah,
I was sitting there with Andrew, and I guess it was about the 6th inning, and he just looked over at me and he was like, man, it seems simple, but when Root pitches well, this team is just different, man. And it's so true. Everything that we've kind of thought, it felt like over the course of the last 3 weekends, we're like, man, hey, they got to figure this out. They got to figure that out. Are we going to do this again? What the heck is going on? I mean, they just look like clear and far and away the better team on the field last night. It was really impressive. I mean, that's the type of stuff that you see a game like that. And for everyone who was hesitant to jump off the bandwagon or to let any, bit of panic or whatever set in, that's the validation that they needed right there. That was a really impressive performance. Now, you got 2 more games that you need to handle your business here. Me and Andrew, when we were walking out, and I wonder what everybody thinks about this, but I was like, after the way tonight's gone, I'm not going to lie, I'll be a little disappointed if they don't sweep. But at the bare minimum, you got to split and get the series here. It was a really, really good start, man. It felt good.
Yeah, I also feel like winning today versus winning tomorrow feels way different. Like if they win today, this is a confirmed great weekend. We get to go into Saturday just feeling good. If they lose today and win tomorrow, of course, we'll all sign up for that. We'll all sign up for a series win. But that's not the same. It's a little bit different. But yeah, speaking of Root, we've seen multiple Arkansas teams that were very dependent on their number one starter, none more than last year's team, which, as Dave Van Horn says, was kind of average outside of Hagen Smith. And of course, even in 2021, when you had Wicklander and Kevin Kopps on, was your game one duo, Arkansas was so dependent on that formula. We've seen a lot of Arkansas teams that are, like I said, pretty average, not really that elite, but have been able to beat elite teams and win elite series because they had such a good formula in game one. And so this year's Arkansas team is weird because they check every box in every metric you want to use. They're elite, except their Friday night starter. That was kind of the one missing piece, and the starting pitching has been such a question mark. You just have to have dudes that can live up, that can step up in these environments, in these matchups. SEC game one against the number one team in the country. Like, you have to have a legitimate ace. And it doesn't have to be a Hagen Smith level guy. Hell, we might not see something like that for a while. But Zach Root is a top pitcher in his draft class for a reason. He was the top pitcher in the portal for a reason. And it was good for Arkansas to go out there and see those reasons, see it in real time, know it's in there. And it changes the way we feel about this team for sure. The atmosphere was great last night. I think it was the best crowd of the year, probably a little under 11,000. Being there, obviously we've kind of gotten used to it. I was like, oh yeah, it's a good atmosphere. I wasn't like, nothing to write home about, but it was cool to hear some of the players talk about, like Root said, he was like, that's by far the best crowd he's ever pitched for. And Kojal was saying you can kind of feel it.
Yeah, I was just so impressed by everything, and the atmosphere was there, the crowd was there, the energy was there, and to see that performance from Root, because Andrew, I think you even said it yesterday on the show. You were talking about Texas and how, in the SEC, they are number one in singles given up, doubles given up, triples given up, and home runs. Like they as far as them not allowing it to happen. But, you got 2 home runs yesterday. You got a few doubles there. That's which, obviously the number is what it is. But for Arkansas to do it that way, on top of the great pitching performance by Root, like that's great. Like 100%. You mentioned they're just different when he's playing well. But just to have it to where the team like Texas, who they just don't give up runs, don't give up hits, don't give up a whole lot. And you as an offensive at times have had those struggles to just go out there and, just boom from the jump, essentially. I mean, what was it? 2 runs, 3 runs, 4 runs in second, third, and fourth innings. And that was all you needed. So it was just nice to have that coupled with the pitching performance. I kind of felt a little bit like what you did, Curtis, about the sweep. But then sometimes I'm curious what the fans in the chat and everybody will feel about this. And it's an honest question. After that game last night, do you feel like better about Arkansas winning this series, or maybe even winning today? Or does it make you feel even more uneasy because of how nice and great it was? That's an honest question, because some people will be like, oh man, because if I had a nickel for every time someone brought up, NC State, remember we beat them 21-2 in the first game, and then we lost the next. It's like, that's okay, completely different circumstances. But there are some people that feel that if you beat the brakes off of somebody, especially a good team like Texas in game 1, you may have shot your wad and that's going to be it. You're not going to win game 2 or 3, which is weird to think, but there are some fans that feel that way.
Well, I can tell you that my wallet feels happier thanks to Carson Bowles.
That's so.
And Andrew for putting that bug in my ear. So that was a good thing. And yeah, that was, I don't know, man. There's a reason why Texas is as good as they have been. I know that, Andrew's kind of been on it. Are they really that good though? They were 19-2 in the SEC coming into the game. You don't do that unless you're a really good baseball team. But I just couldn't stop thinking about it in the moment as Arkansas was just tagging that pitcher who's been really good all year. But it's like, this dude's coming in here throwing the ephus, man. This is not a serious baseball program. If you're a Friday night guy, I know he hasn't been their Friday night guy all year, but your Friday night guy coming into Baum is out there throwing the ephus. It's not serious business here. And he got tagged because of it.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, from in terms of the next 2 games, I mean, Texas still has both of their top 2 bullpen guys available. So it's like, they're gonna be a tough out here these next couple games. They've made a living off of winning 1-run games, 2-run games, and so it actually, especially in the last 3 weeks, because I think I don't know who it was that tweeted out the stat that like Arkansas has actually outscored most of pretty much all their opponents in all these series. They've outscored their opponent, but they lose the series. That happened against Georgia, happened against A&M, happened against Florida. And so it's like this series actually could line. It's like this is set up perfectly to be just that. So I think there's got to be a little bit of that anxiety. But I got to say, I didn't view last night as like some fluke thing where Arkansas got hot and Texas played poor base. Like I think it was as simple as Arkansas starter was very good. Arkansas got after Texas' starter. And that was pretty much the game right there. And on a Friday night, there's really not much margin for error. So for Arkansas to blow it up to a 9-run lead and have Texas essentially punt game 1 early on. I mean, it was in the 4th inning where Texas decided we are okay losing this game. We are okay giving you this one. We don't even care if it happens via run rule. Kind of wish that would have happened. And so I think it's going to be easy for Texas to flush this game and move on. But at the same time, like I think that's quite a statement. And they've lost a couple games. That has not happened to Texas. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they respond to this. And, I view it as they're locked in here with us. We ain't locked in here with them. They got to play us 2 more times. We don't have to play Texas 2 more times.
Yeah. Well, also, I meant to get the video of it, but I forgot to pull it. But I also liked what Zach Root said last night when Matt Hobbs went to him and was just like, "Hey, all these people didn't pay all this money to see you pitch 4 innings." It's kind of like, and he said he took that to heart, which was pretty funny. But yeah, and that's the type of confidence that you want to have, and that's obviously losing 3 straight series. That's a good start. I mean, hey, you'll take a 9-0 shutout of the number 1 team in the country in Texas all day long. And also forgot to mention all these things. The other element, also beating Jim Schwarzenegger was really nice. That feels pretty good. So, but they got business to take care of tonight. 7:00 will be first pitch, and it's that last night was on ESPN2. I think tonight's on the network. If I'm not mistaken.
I believe that's right.
Yeah, it's on the SEC network, and then you'll have that game, which looks like the weather is going to hold up. It's not going to be sunny and 80 degrees, but it is going to be clear. And then tomorrow looks like it's going to be pretty nice too. So. Going to have plenty of those things, but great night at the ballpark. Lots of fans out there at a lot of enjoyable moments, and I'm sure it'll be even that way like that tonight and even tomorrow, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun too. But yeah, and I know we're getting to the chat and everything too, but it's funny because somebody brought up these beer hats things, and I looked up the beer. You know how much some of these beer hats? I was just looking online, like how much they are. People charge for them. It's like $20. It's like for a beer hat. It's like, don't worry, we'll give you some news on that and when that's going to be changing here soon. So, but yeah, either way, got that going on. And I know tonight will be another great one too. And also shout out to our guy, Garrett from HD Roofing. Got to see him last night and did the inspection on Curtis's roof, which was good. And I got to see him and hang out with him for a little bit. So it was cool there. And saw some other people. DJ Wagner was at the game last night. Shout out to him. So, I'm telling you, he was there and taking pictures with everybody. Everybody loved it and kept hoping to see, somebody else was going to be coming around, like maybe he was hosting somebody or something like that, but didn't look like that was the case.
I can't believe they didn't put DJ on the big screen.
He deserved the ovation he would have received,
Yeah, he would have definitely. I mean, if you're going to put Cam Ball and Taylor Green up there, might as well put DJ.
Yeah, well, he should have sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" if he wanted to be on the.
What the hell, John Williams?
Yeah,
and DJ Wagner, we've talked about this. Like he's the one guy who you feel like is probably good at everything he does to a certain degree. Like he probably could go out and be pretty good at baseball, and I bet he could make his way around the football field. Probably got some pipes on him too. I bet he can sing. He's a multi-talented guy. DJ Wagner.
I like that. You know who else was at the game last night? Rick Nomura. Who apparently everyone in media decided this week they were like, hey, we're going to do an interview with Rick Nomura.
Yeah.
I don't know where they got that idea. That's a brilliant one, though.
Man,
it is a good one. Yeah.
It's like I said, we should do that sometime. Andrew, get on that. Why don't you do that sometime? Like not that you haven't done it before or anything. But yeah, it was cool seeing that and seeing DJ. But I'll admit, he was always in the concourse though. I don't know if he actually ever sat down. So maybe that's why they didn't get him on the big screen because it's
hiding from the camera, right?
Yeah, that's a camera person just like running through the concourse and following him as he's getting pictures with kids and stuff. But no,
what was he wearing, John? Did he have a baseball hat on? Did he look like he was at a baseball game?
Absolutely
or was he
not.
Okay, all right.
He literally looked like he just got done out of practice at the practice gear.
I like that a lot. There we go.
So he looked he looked there, and I was trying to see if because that's the thing is DJ he's what is DJ 6'3", 6'4", something like that maybe. That's all.
Yeah, he's just a little bit like a nose taller than me. So he's probably a legit 6'4", a little bit over.
Okay. Because like when you see him, not that he didn't stand out, but it's like you see other basketball players, like if like Trevin Brazil would have been there, he'd been like, just because he's so tall and everything, you would have seen somebody out there too, like him. But who knows? Maybe tonight they'll have some other players, maybe some other pieces in there too. And maybe it'll be one of these secret visitors, someone who's got a secret commit, as they all say. Yeah.
Hey, I have can I give an early Arkansas update since we're talking basketball?
Sure.
This just got put out. Breaking news, sort of, from Nick DePaula. He says Reebok has signed 5-star guard Darius Acuff to a shoe deal. Okay. It's part of the Reebok team. How about that, man? They're making a comeback here. I love that. So incoming McDonald's All-American for the Razorbacks. Going to be rocking the Reeboks. What do you guys think about that?
I like that. Reebok is starting to make a comeback. I do feel like
Yeah.
seriously, I've seen Reebok in like 2 headlines in the entire year, which is more than I'd seen the previous like 7 combined. So I do think Reebok is kind of on the way back, and so we'll see how that looks. That'd be pretty cool.
You know, they had I think it was right. Oh, cool. Yeah, there we go. Right before Cooper Flagg got to Duke, he signed the New Balance thing, I think it was. And so that's, you know, everybody always assumes it's either Nike or Adidas or whatever. And so it's cool, man, to see Acuff doing the Reebok thing. I respect it.
I am not judging, but this graphic is pretty I think I could have done this one. I think I could have gotten into Canva and done this graphic that Reebok put out. I'm just saying. It's a picture and a Reebok symbol, and it's just his name up there. But yeah.
You think he's looking at his shoe?
He's probably looking at his bank account is what he's looking at now.
Yeah. he's counting the cash that they just handed him.
Yeah, it's probably what he's looking at. But Reebok, it's crazy because Reebok used to be Arkansas for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the last thing I remember them being big on was the NFL they had the entire NFL for a long time. And now okay, because I'm stupid, and maybe Curtis, you can answer this. How does this work? Arkansas being a Nike school signs with Reebok. Like, how does that mesh? Like, can he get like what do you call it? Some sort of like thing where he can kind of bypass it a little bit, or like, what does that mean?
Yeah, it means he wears Reebok shoes with his Nike uniform, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, the NBA, I believe that all the NBA jerseys are sponsored by Nike. So everybody in the NBA is wearing a Nike jersey. They just all, some are wearing their Adidas shoes, some are wearing their whatever shoes. Some are wearing their New Balance or whatever. So yeah, I bet it's just in specifically with basketball, it's all about the shoes. And so
yeah,
it'll be
I
interesting
remember
what the game is like.
I remember for like 6 hours when Arkansas was recruiting Mikey Williams. You guys remember Mikey Williams, right? Which he wound up getting into college basketball. I think he was at UCF. Now he's playing at he's Shaq's first signee at Sacramento State, actually. But anyway, he was such a big deal. He's like a social media icon or whatever. And he had the Puma deal in high school. And I remember it was one of the random times every now and again, this thing would happen where you would get a phone call from somebody on Arkansas staff and you would take it, and it would never be Eric Musselman's number, but you would hear, Curtis, it's Coach Muss. I'm like, oh God. And so there was usually some kind of conversation to be had. And we had heard about the Mikey Williams thing, and we were talking about that. And that was one of the things that they were vetting him to see like if it would even make sense at all. And this is before he got in trouble and everything like that. But like if it was worth the headache with all this social media stuff and whatever. And the Puma versus Nike thing was like one of the deals. They're like, it's going to be a pain in the butt, but you can work around that kind of stuff. So I'm sure they've got it figured out there with Acuff and Reebok.
I would think so too. I'm just saying, Cal seems to be a guy that probably has those types of things in order, and probably has it all make sense and everything too. So, but yeah, shout out to him. By the way, when you guys were younger, was there, other than the Nikes, but like, what was there ever a shoe brand or a brand of shoe that you wore because you just maybe didn't know any better, or like you was just one your parents bought you and you just had to roll with it? Some like obscure shoe.
Well, I was, and it was before they started showing up in Walmart, and I've been meaning to bring this up actually on Remember Wednesday for like a month now. Do you guys remember the And One mixtape tour?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, man. I mean, I bought the video game and everything. Used to watch that all the time, but I used to wear everything I could get my hands on that was And One. And so like I was playing in the And One shoes. And then for a minute I was playing in the Big Bens, the Ben Wallace shoes.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, man.
I remember there was a stretch when I was in elementary school where I was wearing Puma and like I was excited to get Puma shoes. Now I'd be shamed in the streets for that. I remember when New Balance like went from cool to uncool. They've become cool again in the last, I would say, like 10 to 12 years. But there was a stretch there in like 2009 where it was like New Balance became like the dad shoes for a while there.
Yeah.
Curtis, you ever rock you a pair of Shaqs?
Never. Actually, I think I did.
I was gonna say, if you didn't wear Shaqs, I honestly don't think you like went through the struggle. Like you're upper middle class at that point. You know what I mean? If
And
you
I
didn't
wasn't
grow up
that.
eating
So yeah.
Shaqs, you know. But no, in terms of shoes, I mean, dude, I'll tell you what I always hated. I always hated those shoes, and these are not basketball related. Those shoes where it's got like the outline of the toes, they look like water shoes that people would wear.
Yeah.
I remember I had there was this kid that I was in choir with who was like the most quiet person ever, never got in any trouble. He wore those shoes to school and he got suspended.
For wearing the shoes?
He was like devastated, bro. He was like crying his eyes out. It was so funny.
Did y'all remember those shoes? And man, somebody in the chat will know. I cannot remember what they were called. But they were the ones that had the on the front, like the is almost like a high heel, but in reverse. And so you were walking on your toes, and it was supposed to help your strengthen your calves and help your vertical leap.
I remember those.
I can't remember what they were called. And I used to wear those around with ankle weights at school.
Gosh.
I was like, I'm gonna get bouncy, bro.
I'd say probably looked like Forrest Gump over there with your like just all these mechanical stuff on your shoes, all that. No, it's like I remember the wheelies. I think is what they're called. You remember the wheelies that people could just have the wheel underneath the shoe, and if they lift their heel back, or Heelys, Heelys.
Yeah, those are good.
Remember that. But honestly, I think was it Fila's?
Fila,
yeah,
Fila?
that was the one. I remember my mom bought me, and I was like 7. You know, it's not going to know any better. And I remember I got a compliment on him one day, but it was by my teacher, so it isn't exactly like a, the coolest compliment you want to get. But I remember then, like 2 weeks later, I had one of my good friends, because I'm not a shoe person, and 2 weeks later, I had a friend of mine got the Jordans, like one of the first pairs, and they were everything. So I had to go get a pair of those, and luckily I did. So, but yeah, a lot of cool shoes.
I honestly never had a ton of Jordans. Like I always liked Jordans, but like those are hard to get your hands on. In terms of basketball shoes, the 2 or 3 that I can really remember, I still have a pair of Paul Georges somewhere in my closet. I've had a couple LeBrons that were hard to wear because they were bulky as hell. But I had some KD 6s, and they were like blue and orange, and they were obnoxious as hell. But I used to love wearing those to high school. Would always look good with my school uniform.
I'm surprised neither of you guys got a Big Baller brand. Got any of those?
No, did not pay $300 for the shoes that ruined his son's careers.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. But I tell you what, we'll get to a lot of other things too. I know everyone's just balls deep in boredom us talking about shoes, but that's okay, because we're going to get excited right now and talk a lot about what's going on here in the chat with the Vibe Check presented by our friends over at Basis Health, where they're changing the way healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits at the comfort of your very own home. A doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and so much more. It's Basis Health. They are here for you when you need them and where you need them the most. You can learn more at basishealth.org. All right, so let's go ahead and get to your chat. Shout out to our guy Garrett for the super chat. Appreciate you, man. He said, met the boys last night in person, and let me tell you, Curtis would be a perfect compliment to TB at the 4 large man. Okay, we're gonna have to stop taking pictures together, guys. It's like, or are we just gonna have to Photoshop Curtis in, or he has to be like sitting down or something like that? Because I posted the picture this morning of us 3 at the game last night, and half of the comments were like, "My goodness, Curtis, you're tall. I didn't know you were tall."
I'm always surprised why are people surprised by this? I feel like we talk about Curtis and his height like fairly often. Like Curtis has also been on. I know that we're not standing up right now, but it's like he's on camera every day. Like we've done videos where we're walking around each other. Like I feel like it's been well documented that Curtis is above average height.
I had somebody on Twitter convinced today that I'm only 5'10" and that you guys are both midgets. So that's
saw that. Yeah, I know. It's just so funny to me, because it's like I don't know, because like I know you're tall. Everyone knows you're tall, but I don't ever look, I guess, at someone who's Curtis's height, just be like, "Jeez, that guy's huge." It's more just like, it's just a tall guy. But some people just really think that Curtis is a tall man, which he is. But I mean, showing that me and Andrew aren't, small. All right, we're not
normal sized humans.
Yes,
is what we are.
We're normal. It's Curtis is the weirdo.
Keep telling yourselves that, boys.
Yeah.
According to the average U.S. or the average height of a male in the world, we are above average height, actually.
Are you sure that's not Asia specific?
No, but Asia certainly helps.
It helps the averages over there. All right, your chats here. So Double H says the baseball team just needed more support from Curtis. Mandatory attendance from him for the rest of the season. There you go. Sorry, Curtis, you got to be there every game.
You are going to be disappointed then tonight. So if they lose tonight, I'm going to have to go Saturday, I guess.
Yeah, maybe that'll be it.
You're going to have to. Let's see. Also, I love this guy. I guess he's a Texas fan. Just Jeremy's like, yeah, he has to be Dallas Stars. LMAO. Yesterday's game was a fluke. Texas will come out today swinging. They are going to destroy the Diamond Hogs. They will win the series as well.
Your period game is rough, bro.
Dude, I don't know what's happening there. Like, is he having a stroke between sentences?
That's a lot going on, man.
So many periods spaced out. It almost feels like a menstruation schedule. I mean, it really does. This guy actually commented on the Bombastic podcast this morning, and I responded because I was like confused by the comment. He commented, and he said something along the lines of, "Stop mocking other channels." And so I didn't look at his channel, but I didn't know what he was referencing. So I just responded and I said, "Huh?" Like I didn't know what he was talking about. But now it makes sense knowing that he's a Texas fan who's just in his feels because he got his booty spanked last night.
Just sad, really sad. And here's the deal. Like your avatar's Dallas Stars. That's obviously your number one team. That's the one that you want to follow. So I'll come in here with this Longhorn stuff and start, getting all pissy about it. Like you lost 9-0, my man, and you're the number one team in the country. It didn't look like number one to me. It looked like number two, if you know what I'm saying. So get out of here with that.
He's talking about poop, unless you weren't sure.
Yeah, that was a dad joke if I've ever heard one. Jeez. Big Lefty says, anyone else see the hog pin guy in the white imitating oral when the camera panned to the pin? Had to back it up and is this a thing?
So yes, do y'all want to see the video?
I guess as long as we don't get demonetized here. What is it?
No, we're not going to get demonetized. It'll be good.
Oh my!
Whoa, that kind of oral.
Yeah, let's play it again. That got John. That got John. The reason I was aware of it is because I got a lot of allegations. There were a lot of people tagging me in that. And they were like, "Yo, Andrew, relax, man."
Man, you got stereotype. A guy can't have a mustache and some luscious locks without being a glizzy guzzler.
Right, exactly. Can't have a long-haired guy with a mustache just doing a little oral, man.
Oh my goodness gracious, dude! Like, it's just we don't have to play again, but just the absurdity. Like, I thought, it's just somebody being subtle, like over there. No, it's like that dude was front and center, and he went all in with like 0 to 60. Like, just there was no stopping that man.
I give a lot of fans credit for and obviously a lot of times when the camera's right in your face, you can tell, hey, I'm probably on TV right now. But it's like the timing of it, of like they're coming back from commercial. He's got about a 6-second window there. And it just works out flawlessly, like that kind of stuff. That's the stuff of legends. It really is.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad that was. I can't believe I didn't see that last night. Wow, that was great. Good grief. Speaking of the hog pen, Finch wants to know. I'm kind of curious on how the guy with the Texas fiance fared in the hog pen. Yeah.
Seriously,
back. I want to know about that too. Let's get the
update. Was that Caden? Was that the dude's name? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us know,
Caden.
Did you make it out okay? Arkansas, the vibes were so high from the start for Arkansas that it probably didn't get. They probably survived, and if you had a good experience, then I would say, if Texas gets up 1-0 in the second inning tonight, don't go crazy because they'll turn on you quick.
I'm just telling you. I've said this many times before. There is nothing more intimidating or scary than a cocky Razorback fan. Mm-hmm. And the Razorback fans, in that hog pen were cocky last night, and they were probably doing some stuff and saying some things they probably shouldn't have. So it may have been even worse.
There was a decent contingent of Texas fans down the third base line, all the way out in left field. So kind of close, down there to the hog pen. I mean, it was probably, I say decent, like a couple dozen or whatever, but it was enough orange to where you're like, oh, some of them came out here.
Yep. And actually, I didn't tell you guys this, but I I think I'm probably going to get in trouble by Razorback fans. At least I shouldn't though. But I actually had to get on to a Razorback fan last night coming out of the bathroom. Once again, it's the bathroom every single time.
Bathroom get you. Was he being rowdy?
You know, he was drunk, and he was with his young kid, and he was very. And when I say drunk, I'm talking about like stumbling, slurring, worrisome. And there was this old man that was there that was a Texas fan, and he was just an old man. You could tell he could barely walk too. I mean, he was getting in there. He had some suspenders on and everything. And this Razorback fan just started making fun of this old man to his face about his suspenders, and started like making fun. And so I just like very kindly told him to shut up and get out. And then he got a little pissy or whatever. But either way, I had to do that. So Razorback fans, it's one thing to be fun in games and stuff, but don't go after an old man. And just because he's a Texas fan, when he's wearing suspenders and stuff, like, stop that. Don't be that guy.
John, I appreciate you for your service. Look, we don't have to go full on narcs out here. We don't have to like you don't need to be like handing out citizens arrests or anything like that. But like, I do think it's okay for Hog fans to keep each other in check, not to the point where you start fighting each other, but just like if you see a Hog fan who's being extremely obnoxious and like making other Hog fans look bad, because don't you hate whenever the opposing fan comes in the chat or says or whatever, man, I was harassed at the game, I was blah blah blah, and it's like, what can we say? We're like, hey, yeah, sorry that happened to you, but most of us are cool. You know, it's like we need to be on the lookout when you see stuff like that happening. Make sure it doesn't happen. Like I was telling that story about my dad against Texas in 2014 at the Texas Bowl, having to break up a fight. Like I remember learning a lot in that moment where I was like, oh wow, it's okay for us to tell our own brethren to shut the hell up every now and then.
Yeah. Well, and I'll also say too, I apologize to the old man for that fan. He walked out, but the thing is the old man didn't hear me, and so I just had to walk away. So, but either way, just know that not all Razorback fans are that way. If you're there. So yeah, but I agree, Andrew. Hold each other accountable. It's one thing to have some playful banter, talk a little trash, but just going up to the old man and going at him for what he's wearing is that's too much, man. That's too much.
Speaking of old men who are Razorback fans, we saw an old man who was a Razorback fan get struck with a errant throw from a Longhorn.
That's what you.
Before the game,
crazy.
Yeah.
Where we were about to sit was a section 118 down the left field line, and so Texas had just kind of mainly stopped warming up. But there was a guy that was long tossing, and pretty much every throw was high and
selling it a little bit.
And he had one that hit these two old guys who were sitting front row there. And Curtis he said that the bullpen catcher was like, oh hey, sorry about that, and was like, here, you can have the ball. The guy was not pleased at all. He was like, I don't care.
I don't want that. It was just a weapon used against me. Like, unless I'm turning this thing in for evidence, keep your damn baseball, man. Just don't hit me with it.
Yeah. By the way, Texas. So a lot of teams do the weird thing where they like a Vanderbilt between innings, they do the stretching thing or whatever. Texas, they sing the national anthem during the first inning warm up or something like that. And I didn't know about this until last night. I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't have a reason to not like it. I don't like it. Don't do it.
Yeah. That's what
I don't like when Vanderbilt stretches, but it's a lot better when they're doing it when they're getting swept.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe you brought this up, but the Kentucky thing, don't they do thing when they go all out on the line after a home run, and they stand in a line out in the, I don't know. I think Kentucky does something weird.
No, I think you are right.
Okay, yeah, something like that. By the way, actually, sports related stuff. I guess I just saw that on 3. As Jamie Shaw logged an expert prediction for NC State to land Memphis star transfer guard PJ Haggerty. So
Will Wade, baby, American gangster, man.
Did you see the video of Will Wade calling season ticket holders and the guy didn't believe it was him?
He's like, no, I swear.
then again, I wouldn't believe it either.
I got to be honest. I'm just going to tell you guys right now. It's Arkansas through and through. But I always adopt a non-SEC team. It's like, hey, if they're on, Arkansas's not playing, I'm going to watch them, low-key root for them. It's NC State, man. I'm all for Will Wade, especially, and I've always, sneakily kind of liked him. You couldn't say that out loud when he was at LSU. But especially after what he did with McNeese. And then John, we saw him up front and in person after he'd already taken the NC State job, and they beat Clemson, his interaction with the fan base and everything there. And I was like, okay, I am now ready to publicly admit that I like this dude. I hope he kills it there. I love the idea of them getting PJ Haggerty, man. That's
Yeah.
going to be cool.
Yeah, that was a weird thing too, seeing that because he had already accepted the job at NC State and they all knew it. And like the AD and everybody there at McNeese was like, none of them were like sour about him doing it. Like after they beat Clemson or any weird awkwardness, like they were all as happy as can be. So that was like a cool thing too, where I'm like, all right, fans are good with it. The AD's good with it. They all get it. And they're all still really happy. Like that was a cool thing. So yeah, I definitely don't like that too. Let's see a few things. Well, okay, I wanted to bring this up because John Sullivan, I said, where's the bombastic beer hats? Well, here's your little teaser. The bombastic beer hats are happening and everything. Like they're going to happen. And they would have happened sooner. However, the one I'm wearing, not going to be ordered till June. Well, it's kind of hard to get beer hats and everything when it's not baseball season and not really to sell them. So anyways, point is that the bombastic beer hats are going to be happening, and they're going to be this little hat right here with bombastic written on the side. So they will be here in June, ready for purchase in time for baseball season next season.
It was funny. You remember that day that John, because we've been talking about this for a while, and you were like, yeah, I guess the bombastic hats will be here for next year. And I was like, next year? Because we were wondering, and then you were like, no, I meant like they will be good for next season, but they'll be here in June or whatever. I was like, a year. They postponed it a year, but no, yeah. Well, and I think it makes sense. Like throughout the fall, throughout the off season, we'll be able to distribute those. Everyone can hit the ground running in 2026 with their bombastic beer hat.
Yeah, my favorite thing is going to be having like 600 of these things in my home, and then having to.
By the way, they're going to be way cheaper than any hog hat or any beer hat you could possibly get.
That's right, and cooler too because it's going to have the bombastic logo on it. So there you have it. Also, Finch says like the pinstripe jersey. That's what we use for a travel team. Well, it's the pinstripes that Arkansas is wearing today, and also I got it from Alumni Hall. So if you want one, you can.
You saw that Mark Taylor tweet, and you were like, "Let me get dialed in."
Yeah, well, actually, I wore this before the Mark Taylor tweet because I assumed they were going to wear the pinstripes. But yes,
by the way, they finally brought back the red last week. They haven't had the red jersey. They've only worn the red jerseys like twice all year. They finally brought it back. But we're not going to see it at home. But I'm glad that they're mixing it back in on the road.
Yeah, I am too. Let's see. Our guy Logan says, imagine your height not starting with a 6. Okay, shut up, Logan.
Hey, but saying that I'd be a good compliment to TB at the 4. I'm telling you right now, if you put me and Logan in the paint, I'm not saying we would beat Malik Ewan and Nick Pringle, but from a physicality standpoint, from a sheer size standpoint, we wouldn't look overwhelmed. All right. We get punked, but we wouldn't look it. Logan is a big dude.
Yeah.
Would y'all hurt Trevin's feelings? Because I know that, it's been a controversy. If you bring in another 4, you're going to hurt Trevin's feelings.
True.
They would be hurt until the first time he touched the basketball and dunked on my head. So
you find a way after that, then somehow, some way.
I'll also say this, by the way, if we did get in that situation in a 2-on-2, Logan, look, I understand that if I'm defending Malik Ewan, that I'll get worked over, and that's fine. But you got to guard Pringle, dude. He's mean, man. He's physical. I'm not trying to catch those elbows to the throat. Like that's a you problem, not me. I'll take the L defensively, but you're going to be the one that walks out of there with all the bruises. Just so we have that understanding.
I got to be honest with you. Call me crazy. I actually think you would do a really good job guarding Trevin Brazil because you know exactly what he can and can't do. And also, it's like, you'd think with Trevin, he's 6'10", whatever. Yeah, he'll just back you down. Is he really going to back you down?
Probably not. The problem is, though, I might know, but I move like Luka on defense. So, it wouldn't matter if I knew or not,
By the way, I saw an NBA Centel tweet, which, if we all know what Centel is, it's not real. But I saw Centel tweets are so good because they're formatted like real tweets. And it was like, taco stands and restaurants in LA are gearing up as Luka Doncic's offseason begins. It's just a picture of him. He's just sitting there looking fat.
Oh man. Before we get to our Alumni Hall question today, a few more chats real quick. Brock just says Curtis looks like he would be short. I don't know what that means, but
imagine looking like you would be short versus being short.
Yeah. What would you rather be?
This is STT's influence right here. He's convinced people that Curtis is short.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the ones photoshopping Curtis to look tall in all these pictures that we get together. That's us. See, also Trey says, John, are you drinking out of that bat? Yeah, I'm drinking out of the bat. That's what it's for.
There's Propel water in there.
Yeah, like let's not get crazy here. You know?
Right before Curtis got in here to do the show, we were like talking about it. We were like, oh, let's just figure out how much is in there, because we were like trying to do the math on like how many ounces is it, and we determined it's about 30 ounces, right?
Yeah, it's about 2 beers. 2 beers. So, because I poured, 2 16.9 ounce Propel waters in this, and it pretty much got there. So, for all you that are looking to buy one of these for $40, let's see. Yeah, it's pretty expensive there too. So, also Benjamin wants to know, Curtis, just watch the Sleepers guys talk on Jordan Smith Jr. and how he's a Cal guard, but also they also said Cal guards might have lost its luster at Arkansas. Like, huh?
Yeah, I'll have to go check that out. The Jordan Smith Jr. dude, by the way, is one of the better players in the 2026 class that said after Peach Jam he's going to visit Arkansas and Kentucky. He's already taken multiple visits to Duke, so it's like a blue blood recruitment there. But yeah, he's a really good player. So I like that he said he's a Cal guard. I kind of thought the same thing too, watching him. The dude he's 6'2", but he's over 200 pounds already. Ridiculous athlete. He's going to be a lot of fun for whoever gets him. But the thing about Cal's guards losing their luster at Arkansas, I mean, based on what? He's had one class here. And, Boogie was tracking as a lottery pick until he got hurt. He's probably still going to get drafted, but he still averaged over 15 points per game and was, second in the SEC in assists while he was here. And he was the only guard. It's like, is it because of Boogie Fland? Or are we counting Carter Knox in there, who's, going to be a first-round pick next? Like, what the hell is he talking about?
I don't
He's looking at On3's rankings, and so he's not expecting anything out of these other guys. Like, that's just a stupid statement to make. So I got to listen to it to get some context. But this stuff with Cal, man, at what point does it just stop? Like, what does he have to do for people to just shut the hell up and let that man coach? And then critique him based on merit and things that are worth critiquing him over, but just make the narratives and making stuff up over and over and over. And everybody just continues to do it. It's exhausting, man. It really is. It's played out.
And here's my thing. Has Cal's method of how he recruits backcourt changed out all that much? Like, no. And that's what I never, like, I understand when the results fluctuate, our opinions fluctuate, but like a lot of times it's just kind of it's not like Cal's doing anything differently. Maybe he has better players one year, maybe next year, though, it's like, there's going to be fluctuation, but it's like, I don't buy that there's like a change in philosophy and now Cal's backcourts are now going to be bad. Like, I just don't know where that would have come from. And again, like you said, it's just a very weird thing. And I don't even know where that it would be one thing if Arkansas's guards stunk last year. I didn't think Arkansas's guards stunk last year. I thought they were fine.
It's like logic and everything gets thrown out the door and out the window with Cal, like where, in any other case, you would need more body of work than one season. But it's like, I can't remember who put it out there, and maybe it was, I don't know if it was someone national or whatever, but they were talking about Cal this past season. And they even said, it's like Cal just kind of proved that his teams just aren't built to win in the SEC anymore because of his year at Arkansas. And I'm like, because of one season where, yeah, they had a less than 500 record, but they went to the Sweet 16. It's like, well, they're just not built to win in the SEC anymore. Off of 1 year, where it's just so stupid, man. I just do not get it. I don't get it.
I read the exact in the same article. I think it was at CBS Sports, but it was like kind of putting into account the success of the first year coaches or whatever at their new schools, and read the whole thing about Kentucky. And hey, I think Pope did a phenomenal job, and they went through a lot and dealt with a bunch of injuries, and it wasn't easy, and they performed well, man. They got to a Sweet 16. It was awesome. And they got a lot of credit for that in the Kentucky write-up, and just on and on about just the way they overcame Jackson Robinson missing 8 games. And then it gets to Arkansas and it's like, well, I guess technically if a season does end in the Sweet 16, even if it was a really, really ugly, but hey, you'll take it win over St. John's, then you probably have to call it a success, whether you believe it or not. It's like, good God, just give the man credit.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing here? Just give him credit for a job well done. It's like you're not going to go to hell if you say that John Calipari did a good job coaching his team this year and overcoming some adversity. It's okay.
Yeah. And you don't have to glaze them. You just don't have to change the circumstances to try and fit. Like it just don't talk about it. If you don't want to give them credit, then just shut up.
It blows me away. I've never come across an individual in my life where it's just so difficult for people to just give them any credit at all. Like you can just tell it's like pulling teeth, just trying to give them any kind of compliment whatsoever. It's like, oh,
yep.
Boy, it was an ugly game against St. John's, but I guess since they accidentally won it and St. John's played historically bad, that you maybe could potentially call their season a success. Go on, man. I'm so sick of that.
Yeah, I know it's pretty obnoxious, and unfortunately, it won't change much. But I tell you what, we'll continue to get, because there's some stuff in basketball related that we'll get to. Actually, let's go ahead and do that now, because I do want to keep that from going as well. Because Ryan says, I saw Boogie could get $5 to $7 million from Florida to come back. Any truth? No, in no way, shape, or form. It is a bold-faced lie if anybody had ever said that. So I don't know where that comes from.
Hell, we talked about this last week, how agents want these numbers out there. Agents want people to say things like this. It's good for the agents and good for the players for numbers like this to be floated around. And like we said, when it was Kentucky and a 20 million roster, like, a lot of times people that are connected to the programs are kind of laughing at that, where it's like, wow, okay. Think about it. Why the hell would Florida give Boogie Fland $6 million? Like what about Florida's situation would be like, hey, they need to break the bank and give Boogie Fland damn near double what JT Toppin is getting. Hell, for $6 million, Florida could go out there and get like 4 P. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make any sense. And also think about this: Boogie, who has been pretty clear, almost to the point where he's too far the other way, where he's admitted publicly, I want to go to the draft. I want to go to the draft. I want to go to the draft. This is very clearly a kind of leveling the playing field of, and I don't understand, like, leverage isn't as much of a thing, but it's like, I think Boogie is looking for that promise from an NBA team. Having something like this out there is how Boogie can get that promise from an NBA team.
Yeah, there are a lot of more accomplished players who are in the portal and out of the portal who are making nowhere near Boogie Fland. Love him. He is not going to set the new bar, the new standard for the highest NIL bag ever achieved, especially coming from a Florida team that just let one of their most important returners from a national championship squad bounce because they wouldn't give him more than $1 million in NIL, but they're going to give Boogie $6. Come on now.
I saw people texting me or DMing me about this, and I was it a story, I guess, that came out, or some reporters was saying it? I don't know, but it was, I just laughed at it. And if anybody said that, it's just could not be true at all. I kind of hope, you know what? Go ahead, Florida. Yeah, pay him $6 million. Sure. Go
Here's
ahead.
how you can tell something probably got a good chance of being BS if it starts with, I'm hearing, and someone said that this might happen, because it's basically covering your tracks, where all you got to say is, if someone comes back and says, hey, actually, that's not true, you say, well, that's just what I heard. You know what I mean? Like that's usually, when you hear that, you're hearing it from someone who wants you to hear something like that.
Yes.
If he
exactly
had
right.
$5 to $7 million on the table right now, he would drop out of the draft before the damn combine and sign at Florida.
Dude,
yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
Like, it wouldn't even be if he just even got the offer. If I was him, I wouldn't even talk to my agent and be like, it's done. I'm signing right now. Done. Like, I'm coming. I wouldn't even do anything if it was that much money. So that was just an absurd thing. I'll tell you what, we'll continue to get your chats and everything, folks, but I want to get to our question of the day presented by Alumni Hall. Our friends at Alumni Hall, like this Razorback pinstripe jersey that you all are so fond of me wearing, you can go and get it yourself, because at Alumni Hall, they got jerseys, they got hats, they got shirts, they got everything for men, women, kids. They got decor. It truly is the ultimate Razorback shopping experience, because they have more apparel for Razorback fans than any other place by far. You can shop them online and have it delivered straight to your door at InsideArkansas.com/Alumni Hall. Use that code HOGSBY20. You get 20% off your purchase. You can also visit them in store at 3417 North College Avenue. And as a reminder, we're going to be live there 2 weeks from now once again for the Tennessee series. We'll be live from Alumni Hall on that Friday, 2 weeks from today. So be on the lookout for that. It's the ultimate Razorback shopping experience, Alumni Hall. So I was just curious to ask Razorback fans where their heads out of like, hey, you got 2 games, you already won 1. What are you going to do against Texas? You're going to be able to win it. How's it going to go? So what will be the record for the Razorbacks in their next 2 games? 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2? Give Razorback fans credit. I think they're a little bit more realistic. 69% of the Razorback fans say 1-1 is what they're going to do. And you have 25% saying 2-0, while having only 5% saying 0-2. So even Razorback fans flying high, most of them are just saying, well, we're still going to drop one, though, to Texas. So give them credit.
I'm not giving them credit at all. Start saying it with your chest again. All right, they're back. Damn it. No, I mean, I called for a sweep yesterday. I'm going to stick to that. But the people with level heads are probably right.
Well, I'm going to stick with sweep as well. Been reporting it for weeks. Can't back down now. I think there's a very good chance. Now, here's the thing about Texas. There's a very clear hurdle in the way of an Arkansas sweep. And hell, it might be a hurdle in the way of Arkansas winning the series. It's these 2 bullpen arms that Texas has, one left-handed, one right-handed, both throw like 89. Like, these are not like crazy stuff guys, but they have been unreal for Texas. Their freshman closer, Volantis, has an ERA under 1, 52 strikeouts in 36 innings. Their other guy, Max Grubb, has a 140 ERA, 38 strikeouts in 38 innings. They've combined for 16 saves. Here's the thing. It's cool to have an elite bullpen, and that's been a huge thing for what Texas has had. But what it requires is you to get to the 7th inning with a lead. And so I think there's a chance that Arkansas could win this game tonight. And not, if Arkansas just leads kind of like they did yesterday, where they're up, it doesn't have to be 9-0. Let's say Arkansas's up 5-3 after 6 innings. Texas is not going to burn those bullpen arms as like a last ditch effort to try and get in that game. What they would do is they have a TBA tomorrow, and they have a guy that they might use as an opener. They might just make tomorrow a full on bullpen game. I think that needs to be your goal is for Arkansas, is like to get them to tomorrow, where they have to kind of use these guys in a role they don't want to use them in. And ultimately, like Texas they came into this weekend with basically 6 guys who had accounted for like 85% of their innings. One of those guys is out for the year in their Friday night starter, Jared Spencer. One of those guys we saw last night scored 9 runs against him. There's a few other arms left, one of which is going to start today, but like it's not a super deep bullpen where it's like, if you get through this guy, they got 2 more coming right at him. It's like, they've got about 3 guys, the guy that's starting today and those 2 relievers that they're going to count on to, these 18 innings left. They're probably going to hope to get about 12 of those innings from those 3 guys. I think Arkansas needs to get after the starter today, put them, because it's when you're a pitcher, when you're a coach trying to figure out how you're going to assess your pitching and how you're going to do it, you want to stay on schedule. You want your starter to go 6, you to have a lead. I can go set up, and you get to kind of choose. When you're behind, you don't really get to make that decision. I think Arkansas needs to put them in a weird spot, and it's going to come down to just getting after the starter. If you get after the starter, like it really gets pretty deep for Texas, and they don't have a super explosive offense. They can't really come from behind. And Arkansas, as much as we're talking about Texas and all the arms that they have left, Arkansas has literally everybody on the roster left. And so I think Arkansas is in a good spot here. If you get Gage Wood, you get his normal 3 innings from him. I'm going to be very interested to see what Arkansas does. If they go straight to Gackle, or if they're going to try and save Gackle for maybe tomorrow. If they go straight to Bybee, maybe they're saving Bybee for tomorrow. But either way, I think Arkansas has a good mix of arms left. They have more arms available, but Texas's front line arms are pretty damn good.
I just want you to end their season and make them where they start playing their worst baseball from here on out.
Make them quit. Just make them forfeit the rest of the season after this.
To make them give it up. Also, too, another random question, like a part 2. I was just curious on what fans, because I saw obviously a lot of the horns down last night, and always so much fun. And you had, of course, the whole thing where Texas fans were so offended by it, blah blah blah. So I was just curious do Razorback fans, is there anything that can be said or done that makes them get like where they want to fight somebody? It gets them to that thing where they get insulted or something specific said to them or done to them or anything like that. But just really a few funny comments that I want to read on Twitter. Our guy Garrett actually says, when I see this GIF in my mentions, which happens to be the pop-up foul ball, that's a good one. Mm-hmm. But also, most people said, though, when they call it Arkansas, which I fully agree. I hate when we get called Arkansas. Like, I know we're Arkansans. That's what they say, which I still don't like that. Thanks to Bill Clinton for changing that one. But yeah, I agree with that one too. Also, someone says calling us piggies, I don't like. But my favorite one was when Cody said, anyone that says KSR is better than Inside Arkansas. So I'm like, I agree.
I like that one too. I like that one. I got to be honest, and I want to hear you guys' take on this. I know a lot of people get really upset about Arky. They don't like ARKY. Like, they don't like when people say that. I don't like it, but it's never really bothered me to the point where I'm like, wow, don't call us Arky.
I think, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, I don't think I'm really triggered by any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I get mad, obviously. I get triggered by small things anyways. But the reason I think Arky people hate that, and this is just my guess, I think it's like the older people, because Okie and Arky used to be like insults to people from Arkansas, people from Oklahoma. That's what I understand. And so like they hated it from then. Like if someone calls me an Arky, I don't get mad, but I just start thinking about, oh, people will be mad about that. But no, but I hate when somebody says Arkansas. Because real quick story, Kirk Herbstreit did it. I don't know if you guys remember this. He did it a few years ago, and he was trying to pay homage or like kind of pay homage to when Les Miles did it before 2007 game. And like fans on Twitter, and I was one of them, went at him. And I'm like, dude, like, don't do that. That's not like an endearing, like we hate that. And he apologized to it and all that, which I mean, I'm not saying he did, but, and I'm not saying I was really like going at him. It was more of just like, that was dumb. Anyways, there was a certain person in the media that went and attacked everybody else. They're like, you all are soft. This should not be an insult. And I'm like, it is an insult, because you're purposely it's like kind of like mispronouncing my name when you know my name's John and you intentionally say it differently. Like, that's to me insulting. Like if it was,
they say John,
like, well, that's true. In fact, if you're saying it, you're the idiot. Yeah. If you're just like, yeah, Joan or, something like that, maybe, but, no, but like that's how I always looked at it, is like it's something you're proud of, and if somebody's like intentionally mispronouncing it because they want to, it just bothers me a little bit, is all. So, but
yeah, no, I get that 100%. But weirdly enough, from my perspective, you know what I always think of Les Miles when I hear or see, or like I can't see Arkansas because it's spelled the same way. I always think about the Les Miles thing, and it weirdly enough, it doesn't piss me off. It just reminds me of that, and I like know people are going to get mad, and so it like kind of actually has like weirdly like a positive effect where I'm like, oh, you're calling us Arkansas, huh? All right, well, we'll show you. Like it's like it. I get why people get upset about it, but it doesn't offend me because it kind of just reminds me of what I remember as a very, very good moment.
Yeah, well, no, and I'm with you, but you know what's funny about that context of Les Miles saying it? It was the most random thing. He called an emergency press conference because people were saying he was going to Michigan. And
yeah, I remember
he just goes, he's like, all these people talking about these things, let it rest. I'm preparing for the game against Arkansas and the game after that. So it was about it had nothing to do with Arkansas even. And then, of course, Darren McFadden saying after they won, he's like, it ain't Arkansas, it's Arkansas, baby. And I'm like, that's right, Darren. That's why you're the best. That's why you're the GOAT. So, anyways, we'll get the best and worst of the weekend here in a second. A few chats real quick. Logan says, is the jersey blank on the back, or do they have player jerseys? I think, guys, when we were there, the baseball ones were blank. I could be wrong.
Yes, they are blank. The only ones I saw like that DJ Wagner jersey had a name on the back of it, but I don't know if they have specific baseball players. But I don't know if you can talk to them. Maybe they can maybe they can hook you up with something.
Yeah, it's always about
we'll get you a Coker on the back.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. and make sure it's of course, I know I'm not going to insult Logan. I was going to say make sure it's a double XL, but I don't know. He no telling what. He's a big old boy, so no telling. Maybe they'd have to have a big and tall one over there. But also shout out to our guy Seth for the super chat. We appreciate it, Seth. Guys, I pulled up to the hog pen last night from Central Arkansas, and it was electric. Razzing the left fielder, and the bullpen was great. Woo pig suey. Good, Seth.
Yeah, shout out to Seth. He said he wanted to see us at the game. And I noticed that he was going to be in the hog pen, and I almost wanted to say, like, we're not going to be in the hog pen. But yeah, Seth, if you do want to see us, we won't be in the hog pen, but you can find us, though. We are not hard to find.
Yeah. We stand out. That's for sure.
You know what gets on my nerves?
What's up?
I just thought of one. It just randomly came to my head.
Yeah.
I get triggered by, and this happens way, way, way too often, when they do the abbreviation for Arkansas as AK instead of AR.
Same.
Yeah.
They do it all the time, man, and that really gets on my nerves. So
Like,
I knew there was one in there that got
dude,
to me.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Curtis, because that pisses me off too. Because I think now I can't remember the comedian's name. He passed away, but he was like a very bland comedian that just had these one-liners. And one of the jokes he made, he's like, "Everybody's asking me what's the abbreviation for Arkansas? Here's what I tell them to do: start spelling Arkansas and then stop after 2 letters." It's like, that's what you do. Like, that's what you have to do. And I've never understood why people think, because what you got, Arizona is the only other AR.
Very
And
easy.
yeah, right. I'm saying, I was like, as far as starting AR, so just do it that way. But yes, I'm so glad that drives me up a wall.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if we ever, like when we were in school, I don't know if we ever had a class that taught us abbreviations of states. Maybe we did. I don't know. But
Here's my thing about it.
it's pretty obvious.
When you list out all the A states, Alabama, AL, AK, Alaska, AZ, Arizona, AR, Arkansas, you should be able to look at it and know right then which state is which. Like, it's not that hard. And so, yeah, it is pretty frustrating. Like, you just got to think about you don't have to always think about the context of the other states, but it's really not that complicated.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Curtis. I'm so glad you brought that up. I could spend a bunch of days talking about little things like that, and that's definitely.
I like how Hayden, he says we very much did have that lesson. Yeah, they definitely at some point do teach it.
I mean, as I'm saying, maybe they must have, but I don't remember like sitting down in 3rd grade back. All right, let's have a test on the abbreviation.
I used to know every capital of the United States.
I was about to say, yeah, we had tests on the capitals and then the abbreviations, and then had to learn it again in home ec when they were teaching us how to mail letters and how to write on them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's right, man. Crazy one, but good one there too. All right, let's go ahead. And again, we'll get to more of your chats, folks, as the show goes on and all of that. But it's going to be fun to get to our best and worst of the week, presented by our friends over at Looper Auction and Realty. Why wait months or even years to sell your home the traditional way? Because at Looper Auction and Realty, they offer a faster and a much smarter option. They sell your home at auction with no repairs, no contingencies, no drawn-out negotiations. You set the terms, buyers compete, and you walk away with a firm closing date. Whether it's your home, an estate, investment property, the auction method puts you in control and gets it sold fast. And you can call them today at Looper Auction and Realty at 479-996-4848. That's 479-996-4848. Or you can visit looperauction.com. Looper Auction and Realty, sold in 30, closed in 30. All right. So for best and worst of the week, and guys, I'm going to start with my best. And I'm hoping you guys appreciate this as much as I do, or thinks it's funny, because if not, it's going to fail miserably. But I'm expecting you not to, because it's just my own weird sense of humor. But not that I love brawls in sports, but I love this moment in baseball more than anything. And it's this right here. When the bullpen, this was the Orioles and Yankees, with Heston Kjerstad being one of the guys that started it all. When there's bench clearing brawls and the bullpen out here, because I'm going to pause right here. The bullpens have to run out in the field. They're part of the team. They got to go out there. And this cracks me up because the Orioles and the Yankees have to go through the same door to get out to the field from the bullpen. And so they're getting single file line of like, all right, let's come on. Like, because John Boy Media, the guy who does a great job with it, he even said, he's like, they could just stay out there and go face to face with each other. The Yankees and Orioles in the bullpen. But nope, they have to go single file line. It's like, all right, guys, let's go out here. We could just sit here and fight. But instead they have to run out, sprinting as fast as they can to the fight. Ended up just, things like that. But either way, I don't know why I love that so much, but it's one of my favorite things in sports is to see that, because it's so absurd, just sprinting out there when it's like, what are you going to do? But I don't know. It just really made me laugh to see that they have to go single file line, the two teams that are fighting, when they could have just, gotten to the bullpen and went at each other. So that was one of my best of the weekend, or best of the weeks.
I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's hilarious, man. Did you guys see oh man, I can't remember who tweeted it out, but it was like the whoever the dude was, and then Heston, and they were like doing the lip reading of
John Boy Media, yeah.
Oh, it was John Boy. Okay, I didn't know it was the same thing.
Is this safe space?
Yeah.
Heston had no reason to be upset.
He didn't.
Had absolutely zero reason to be upset. Like, I understand it's a heated game. Division rival. I'm sure he doesn't like these guys. The throw took the guy offline, and he jumped, and there was a little bit like there really was. I don't think there was like any dirty, malicious intent that Heston needed to be upset about.
No, I will say though, I'm like, because of his concussion stuff, landing on the head. Like I probably get he was a little. I'm trying to give him the benefit, but you're right though. It was nothing intentional on the Yankee guy's part.
He's also upset because he has not had the greatest start to the season that he anticipated.
That also hurts too. I have another best of the weekend. I'll let you guys go with yours, so that way I make sure I don't take it. So,
well, you won't take mine. My best of the week. We are officially at the halfway point of our pregnancy.
Yeah.
And so that's exciting. We're halfway there. Michelle made me pose for some photos. You can find those on Instagram. But well, and actually, you would appreciate this, John, because she went and got some Ben and Jerry's. By the way, but the half baked type, and so I had to pose with the half baked, photo there for our banana sized child. No, but is there an actual Ben and Jerry's here?
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah. So
you had to go back to Providence.
Listen, it was good, but it wasn't the same. That was what do they call that again? What?
Freshly packed.
Freshly packed. It's a complete game changer. By the way, it's so good. But that would be my best of the week. That got to give a shout out to the pup. I know a lot of people were asking about Slim. He went for his follow up and did well. He's got to chill out for the next couple weeks to get all the way back on the mend. But he did good. It was a Pup Cup worthy visit to the vet. The only time he freaked out was they tried to dig in his ear to see if he had an ear infection, and he almost took the vet's hand off. But man, they stuck the Q-tip like all the way down there. Like I would have been mad too. Yeah. But what's weird about it is he got mad about that, but he handled the thermometer in the rear end just fine. So we got to have some conversations, but I'm still proud of him.
I like that. I like that a lot. Awesome. John, I actually want you to go first with your other best of the weekend because I don't think we have the same one. So you give me your other best because I've got a little bit of a best and worst. So we're going to kind of snake draft this thing.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure people are going to take this very normally. This has nothing to do with politics. It's just a funny thing.
Oh, God.
But Donald Trump went and spoke at the Alabama commencement speech, but Nick Saban was the one that introduced him. And Nick Saban just had a funny story that was just, I think would be just trying to put myself in that position of how I would handle it. And it was just a really good story I wanted to play.
I introduced President Trump. I have to tell you a story. You all know that we win a national championship, we get to go to the White House, and it's a great experience for our players and each and every year. When we won in 2017, President Trump was there in 2018, very gracious host, and he's the first president that invited us to come in the Oval Office. So I take the three captains in the Oval Office, and the president's really nice to everybody, and he's got this very big, good-looking, auspicious box on his desk that has a red button on top. And one of the players said, "Is that what you launch the missiles with?" And he said, "Well, push it and find out." Player said, "No, I don't want to do that." He said, "Oh, go ahead, push it, see what happens, find out." So Rashawn Evans finally got the guts up, went over, pushed the red button. Some lady came in with a Coke on a tray.
Anyways, that's all I wanted to play. Didn't want to start a holy war around here, but I just thought it was really funny because I'm like, it's a very Trump thing, but that's also, I can imagine players like, no, I ain't doing that. But the fact that it brought in a Coke and everything with a girl on the tray was pretty funny. So
didn't Trump, what he said something like, the future of our nation isn't the Harvard Crimson, it's the Crimson Tide, or it's like he had a pretty good one-liner there, which if he would have said something like that for Arkansas, we'd be like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, dude. We'd make it so many memes and all the audio from it too. And he also said that, and the thing I really laughed, I sent to my Alabama buddy, but he's like something to the extent of how much he loves it when the Crimson Tide in football, all the fans come together and they sing that wonderful song. What's Dixieland Delight? That wonderful. And I'm like, yeah, I knew like the lyrics that they sent to that. I was like, yep, that's them. So, oh man, it was really funny. But I love that because Nick Saban telling a story and all that good stuff. So, Andrew, go ahead.
John, I love that you acted like our audience was going to be offended by you playing a Trump video.
Dude, I'm just telling you, man.
I'd say like a vast majority, or like a lot of people were not upset by that story, I would say.
Yeah.
But my best of the worst. Okay, now I need everybody to just listen close. I am going to mention a few Star Wars things here, but just calm down. It's not going to take me that long. I'm not going to go too in depth. I'm just sharing my personal soliloquy of my best of the week, which has been the Star Wars show Andor, which is just tremendous stuff. John, how many years have I been ranting to you about Andor, about how good it is? Like, since I've known you, really, because I guess season 1 came out in 2022, I think. So I've always been like, dude, John, you got to watch Andor. So it's great. It's a great show. And for those that don't watch Star Wars, I'm not going to explain it. But, Star Wars is Empire, Rebellion. There's the big evil Darth Vader and the Emperor. They're the bad guys. And there's this small group of fighters, and they band together and beat the Empire. Andor is set about 4 or 5 years before that. And so you really get to see the makings of how normal people get radicalized to where they're like, hey, we have to rebel against this evil empire, which is pretty cool. It's cool to see that in real time. It's also very adult. A lot of Star Wars is targeted for kids, and I love it, but it's like sometimes I'm like, hey, I'd really like to be challenged a little bit. And Andor does that. It's real life stuff. People die, people curse, people have sex, people do all these things. Like it's real life stuff, which I've always wanted. My entire life, I've wanted adult Star Wars stuff. And so it's been great. The first 6 episodes are out now. I guess Tuesday it'll be 7 through 9, and then the 10 through 10, there's gonna be 12 episodes total. But my worst of the week is just how in life, everything that people say they want, they don't want. All the time we hear in our chat, whether it's sports, whether it's whatever, we have people clamoring, oh, why don't y'all talk about this? Why don't y'all talk about that? And then what happens when we talk about that kind of stuff? Nobody listens. Curtis, I know you deal with this a lot, or we all deal with it, where it's like the thing that people are like, oh yeah, we're tired of hearing about this. We're tired of hearing about the Iamaliava situation. Talk to us about our transfer defensive ends. And if we put out a video of the transfer defensive ends, it'll get about 12 views. Just kind of the way it works. Andor is a representation of that, because how much, Curtis, you don't follow Star Wars, but how much do you hear people complain about Disney Star Wars?
All the time.
Like all the time, right? They're like, oh, it's the worst thing ever. We don't like these movies with girls in them. We don't like, all these cameos, and they're ruining Luke Skywalker, ruining Han Solo. Andor is exactly what every Star Wars fan claims they want. A real adult story about new characters. It doesn't have all these weird cameos. There's no force-fed, slop that people are throwing at you. It's just a real good story about like just Star Wars shit. And ain't nobody watching it. Nobody even knows the show is happening. And so it just kind of sucks that, we're I feel like me and like 2 of my buddies are the only people watching the show. It's freaking great, man. It's probably the best Star Wars content since Revenge of the Sith, which came out in 2005.
No, I've heard good things.
On Figures Tuesday, by the way.
Well, I've heard good things, all of that. I haven't been able to have a chance to watch it, but yeah, it is one of those things that people, it's always about, like we've done this with poll questions for Alumni Hall questions of the day and everything. It's like we hear a bunch of stuff, but then if you actually just do a polling where people can vote on one, it's like the angry side of things isn't the majority. So I think it's kind of the same way with that. But yeah,
I'd say that it's that way in the movie, like just in movie and TV in general. All the things that people complain about are the things that make a ton of money.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. All right, my worst of the weekend, real quick. And again, I keep saying weekend. I got to start differentiating. The worst of the week for me was definitely the things with like stuff that we talked about. Like the Shedeur Sanders stuff was just disgusting. I got so sick of that, and to me, that was really bad. I also think this Bill Belichick story that continues to get more and more details coming out of it, where I think I saw that the latest deal, because we talked a little bit about it yesterday, where now it's like CBS was saying that, hey, we didn't put out anything that these are all true and these are not things that happened. Well, now you got apparently with Hard Knocks that they were going to do at North Carolina was all shut down. And the reports are coming out is because Jordan Hudson, his wife, fiance, girlfriend, whatever you want to call her, well, apparently that she was so outrageous, and that's what killed it, is because she wanted to be part as like a head producer of the show. She wanted all these things to go along with it, where she gets titles and whatnot. And they're like, nah, we ain't doing this. And so with that, and also Bill Belichick's son's wife going off on her too, it's just a bad look, bad deal all around. And it's just so stupid. And I don't know. If I was a North Carolina football fan, I'm like, man, I don't feel good about any of this. This is going to go disastrous. So, but those two things, like storyline wise, for their own reasons, to me were the worst of the week for me, dealing in the world of sports, at least.
Okay. And this might spur some more conversation. I think it was Heartbroken Hog who tagged us in this on Twitter. I could be wrong. I think it was him.
It was, yeah.
Okay. With the Andrew Armstrong stuff, did you guys get a chance to read up on that?
I did not, I'll admit.
Listen up on it or whatever?
Give me the spark notes, because I saw a few tweets that made me think I kind of understood it, but I want to hear the real summary.
So as I understand it, there was an agent that was interviewed on The Buzz, talking about draft stuff and Shadur's situation and why the Lions were so much higher on Isaac Tesla than some of the others, and that's why he went a couple rounds higher than people expected. And then was asked about the Andrew Armstrong situation, and basically he was saying was that it actually, he wasn't surprised at all that he didn't get drafted, because there was a bunch of NFL franchises just knew that there were a lot of character red flags and character concerns with him. And it all stems back to before the beginning of the season. And so despite his production, like, nobody was surprised, because everybody was just, like, overly concerned about grabbing him up because of his character and all this stuff. And I just hated to see that and hear that. And I'm not here to question what an agent heard. I mean, I'm sure he's more plugged in than I am and everything, but just never have I a single time gotten that kind of impression from Andrew. I mean, I always thought he was a great interview, and don't know of any trouble that he got into, at school or anything. And then, I mean, and I'm not just saying this because they listen, but I think he comes from a good family, good parents. And so that really, really threw me off, man, when I saw that. And worst of the weekend, because I just didn't like to hear it. Like, I would much rather it be the stuff that I was complaining about the other day about, oh, they don't like the way he runs his routes, or whatever. Or he's older, like, fine. But that stuff, it rubbed me wrong, man. I didn't like to hear that. It was disappointing. And I know a lot of people were kind of taken aback by it. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. If Andrew Armstrong has poor character, he's done a very good job at hiding it from literally everyone in the state of Arkansas, everyone that's ever coached him, every player that's ever played with him, every media guy that's ever covered him. Like, literally from the time he stepped on campus about 2 years ago, all we've heard about, hey, this guy's just a hard worker, just solid, great football player, but also like a good leader, immediately came in and became a leader in the wide receiver room. Like, I don't want to do the thing, because, like, I know a lot of times when people get accused of bad stuff, you have the people that are like, oh, I had a good conversation with him. He could have never done. Like, I don't want to say, like, hey, Andrew Armstrong could never make any mistake and he's never rubbed anyone the wrong way or any of that. But, like, I really do think, like, if he has these issues, it just has not arisen in his college career. And this is a guy who started his college career as a redshirt at what at the time was a D2 school, now an FCS school, that he worked his way up. And so it's like, somehow his poor character didn't deter him from working his way from redshirt at D2 to leading receiver in the SEC. I don't know. The track record doesn't check out. The stories we hear from all around the program don't check out. That's very weird to me. And, I don't like to see it, especially, by the way, a guy in a family who suffered a really horrible tragedy not too long ago. And I don't want to talk too in depth about this. Like, we've talked about what happened with his brother, but it's like, for a guy to be going through something like that in the biggest year of his life, where he's trying to make his dreams come true, loses his brother, like, that's horrible. And then to, like, hear crap like this thrown around of like, oh yeah, we're worried about his character. It's like, that's it rubs me the wrong way, and it just feels fishy to me.
Well, yeah, and I agree. And I'm going to tell you this right now: someone's lying. I'm just saying, someone's lying. I don't know who it is. It could be the people that are scouts. It could be whoever. But here's my thing on this: character issues. Okay, that's such a vague thing. Like, and that kind of pisses me off, because this is the same thing that Ryan Mallett went through, and it pissed me off too. Like, I knew Ryan a little bit, and Ryan, remember, he got hit with character issues because he had that public intoxication deal when he just got to Fayetteville or whatever. And, and it's just so vague when it's brought up that way. Well, let me tell you guys something. You guys know this because you've been in the media for a while. This is a small state. Mm-hmm. This is a small community. Mm-hmm. And more often than not, if we know of somebody, or if we hear of somebody having character issues or any sort of issues, sometimes we hear something. But most of the time, if not all the time, we will hear speculation about anything, like from coaches, from anybody. And so, knowing Sam Pittman, You know what Sam Pittman really, you could say it's good or bad, but Sam Pittman's also not the type that if he has a player with character issues or anything on his team, he's not exactly going to play him. He's not exactly going to deal with them. Like, he's kind of had record of that.
He doesn't mind saying it. You
Yes,
know what I mean? Like
exactly.
we say public battles.
Exactly. And so to say this, where we haven't heard a single thing about it, the guy has just played his rear end off, was great, and all of that. I'm sorry, somebody's lying. That's the only way I can chalk it up to it. Because again, I think character issues are just, and when you throw that out there, it's such a vague and ridiculous remark. And I want to know, I won't get it from, because Chris Turnage is his name, the agent, but it's him or somebody. I'm like, okay, I want specifics then. Find out something. Because if you're going to throw it out there, what is it then? What's the character issue? Because or Pittman or somebody, I just would love to know what it is, because I have a hard time believing that us here in the state of Arkansas in the social media age, when everything's got a magnifying glass, and us especially and others are on top of all the things with Razorback players all the time, 24/7, 365, for 2+ years, did not hear a peep, one thing about any issue with Andrew Armstrong. And then the NFL's like, well, we've heard some stuff. I doubt that. I sincerely doubt that. So that was really disappointing. And I wish I would have read that a little earlier, but hearing and just looking over at it, that's very disappointing.
Well, I want to provide some context too. And yeah, you mentioned the name of the guy who was being interviewed on your former show, I guess. Yeah. But and not to say anything bad on them. I mean, it's just the agent saying what he was saying. But I'm going to read the excerpt of it, because I know that Arkansas and SI wrote a story about it, and it wasn't an opinion piece. It was literally just kind of building around the quotes that were given in that interview. But some of the quotes that the agent put out there, he said, I thought he might get grabbed very late, but I wasn't surprised. I thought it was 50-50, to be honest. This is not meant to bash the kid by any means. This is just kind of talking facts of what I know. A lot of teams have character concerns on him, character question marks, character red flags. And then he went on to say, this was like at the start of football season last year when I was trying to decide whether I should recruit him or not, I guess for his agency. I had several teams tell me, don't go after him. He's going to be undrafted because of some character concerns, because of some of the off the field issues. One team told me after the combine, or maybe it was right before the combine, and maybe some interviews they had done, but he said it was what he marked down as his worst interview of the entire season that he had. I don't want to get into too many specifics of what they said, but that was a general consensus amongst a lot of teams. And, some of it had to do with maybe maturity and some other things. I almost wonder if he got confused on who he was talking about.
Had to.
Those are strong words. Like those are strong things to throw out there. What is he maybe confusing him with another like maybe Broden?
I really wonder if he just got mixed up who he was talking about there. It seems like we're not talking about the same person to me. That's why.
No, that's very interesting. And by the way, since we're talking about the NFL draft, this is character issues and character concerns. That is a buzz term that gets thrown out a lot. We hear that all the time. Hell, we heard it thrown around with Shadur Sanders when he started drafting. You started hearing character concerns, blah, blah, blah. You also hear it when something like horrible happens, like when there's like a murder or something like that, whenever you have like guys getting investigated, like, with the Kieran Lacey situation or something. It's thrown around so much, and I think people have gotten very comfortable doing it. And I don't know. I just think that's very interesting, and it's like it almost feels like a cop-out. And like you said, Curtis, if someone wanted to make the physical argument and say, you know what, his 40 wasn't that great, he's an older guy, is he that projectable? Like, whatever, we can have that conversation. But I don't know. I feel like his physical tools had to do a lot more with it than character, but who knows? Maybe. I mean, he did go undrafted, and we were all confused by it. So like, who knows? Maybe those interviews didn't go well, but that's very concerning. And in the way that he made it seem like this is a multi-year. Like there's been concern about this for a while, and I'm like, again, why did nobody know about this?
Yeah, I just don't see any way, shape, or form that it happened. Like, and again, and I'll tell you this, because I know his family, of course, watches, listens to us. Like Andrew Armstrong, that is, would love to have you on our show, and would love to talk with you and maybe talk about this if there was anything like this kind of, and maybe who knows, maybe takes to social media to defend himself a little bit. But we'd love to hear your side of it, because. Again,
be happy to clear that air.
Yeah, you got to clear that. That's something that you don't, they'll be following you, and especially like you said, Curtis, I feel like he could have gotten it or should have gotten it confused with somebody else. And you definitely don't want to be confused with somebody else with that stuff. So please, yeah, I'll reach out, whatever it takes. But for real, like we want your side of the story because it just seems so unlikely that that even happened. So, but I tell you what, we're getting close to wrapping up here. We'll get into our little Freedom Friday action. We'll answer anything that you guys will actually want to talk about. And it's presented by our friends at BetSaracen. Go to the BetSaracen app on your iPhone or on your Android. Check out all the specials. They got Razorback baseball tonight, all the specials. And, Andrew may even one day, he's going to pull out a great one. He did last night. We'll see if he does one today. I'll let him do that later. But either way, they got all the specials for Arkansas baseball. They got all the NBA playoff action, everything that you could possibly want with the spreads, money lines, everything. So download the app at BetSaracen with your iPhone or your Android, or you can also check them out online at BetSaracen.com. So a few of your chats here. Shout out to our guy Dre. Appreciate you, Dre. He says it's not just improbable, but impossible that character issues went unnoticed while at Arkansas. It's kind of where I'm at too, man.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he, to my knowledge, never got any, like he was never suspended or anything. The only thing, and I think it was Camo Hog brought it up a little bit earlier in the chat. Like the only thing I remember too is when he was teeing off on the offensive line against Texas A&M or whatever. For hell, I wanted to. So
yeah. Which, by the way, in that moment, we didn't say, "Oh wow, he's causing trouble on the sideline." We were like, "Hey, Arkansas needs someone to do that." Hell, we wish our quarterback was doing that.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, not only that too, but like I said, guys, how many things I know I do, but how many things do y'all get from fans or see in Discord or whatever, where they're like, "Hey, I'm hearing this. Like, have you heard about this? Like, man, I heard that this guy was did this jerk, and then there's a locker room issue, and like, we didn't hear any of that. Like, there weren't even random people saying stuff. So that's what just makes it even more like outrageous that was the case. Let's see. Also, Transplanted Texan said, concerned that Arkansas radio host did not push back on those statements.
As I understand it, and I haven't listened to it, I read the article with the quotes, but even in there, it kind of insinuated that they did.
Yeah.
Like they were just kind of like, wait,
wow,
what? Yeah. Like, will you elaborate, please? Because that's, so I think that they were taken aback by it also.
Yeah. Also, I want to touch on this comment real quick from Raw Hog. He says, must be a conspiracy to wrongly keep these great players from being drafted. Totally happens all the time. Well, I get he's like trying to make fun of this conversation here. It's not that we're saying, hey, Andrew Armstrong should be a first round pick. He was a guy that was a fringe draft prospect anyway, because of his age, because of, a lot of factors. He didn't test out super well at the combine physically. Like, we're not saying, hey, he should have been a first round pick. And they went from a guy from first round pick to undrafted. He was going to be like a late round pick anyway. And so it's just, a lot of times you see guys like that go undrafted. We're not saying there's an actual conspiracy, but these things do happen a lot, actually, believe it or not. The character concern, that term specifically, is a major red flag because it's the type of vague terminology you hear when someone doesn't actually have something substantial to back it up.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, too, look at it from your own perspective. Like, because I feel this way, and I think we all do. Like, I feel like reputation does matter and it means something. Like, if people want to say dumb stuff about me or whatever, but if it's like somebody out there that's of importance or of significance, it's saying, oh yeah, well, John's got character issues, and I feel that I want to be like, no, I don't, and I want to be setting the record straight, and because that people who can hear that, especially if you're doing business with people or if you're trying to get in the league or whatever, that can stick with you. And if it's not true, it needs to be addressed and fixed and all that. So that's kind of what I look at, is like, I would want people defending me and coming out and saying, hey, yeah, there's no character issue. It's a very important thing for his reputation and for his future. So it's very important to make sure that it's done right. Let's see. Also, where was that? Oh, yeah. Trey wanted to know, hey, Andrew, when are we going to wear the cream jersey with the script A?
So tomorrow. And Trey, this is a good question. I appreciate you asking it. They try to like keep somewhat of an order. And I actually want to talk about this because I want to make sure all fans kind of know that. Because like John's wearing the pinstripes today because he knows the Hogs are wearing pinstripes game 2. I kind of like want us to talk about this just so everyone knows it's on the same page. So the way that they typically do it, and I'm glad that they're mixing in the reds back on the road. I like the grays, but you don't need 3 straight days of grays. So on the road, they're going to go gray, red, gray. Keep that in mind next week. But at home, it's the white jerseys that you saw yesterday on Friday or on game 1, the pins in game 2, and then the creams game 3. Lock that, learn it, know it, wear those colors every day, and go to Alumni Hall to buy them.
There you go. There you go. Good to know now. Let's see. Also, Hayden just wanted to say, glad to hear that the pup is doing well. Took my little guy yesterday, was good with everything, sans the thermometer.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah. Also, let's see. Not that one. Sorry. We already read that one. Appreciate the super chat, though. Gene said, I'm pretty sure the older man with suspenders y'all were talking about is a Texas super fan. I met him during the 2018 midweek game with Texas at Omaha, and he doesn't miss a game for decades. Maybe so. I didn't recognize him, but he was Texas fan, so I would.
He's probably got the business from folks before then. You know,
when you start getting referenced as the guy with the suspenders or whatever, it's like, yeah, you're we're talking about the same guy.
Yeah, you're that guy. And again, I'm not taking shots at him for his suspenders like some people were, but if suspenders is a very unique thing. So if you're the guy, you're known to wear your suspenders, it's going to stick out for you. Let's see. Finch just want to know, do we think Boogie should have stayed on the bench instead of trying to come help us? I commend him for doing that, but it might. I don't know if he had to finish that, but
so okay.
However this ends, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I think he was going to say like, but it might have hurt him. So here's my thing. It's not up to Boogie. I meant to touch on this earlier. It's not up to Boogie. Like Boogie did everything he was supposed to do. He, was working, trying to get back, trying to get as healthy as possible. The argument we can have is if Cal should have played him. That's where it really starts. On Boogie's side, he did everything right. Like Boogie was available. He's trying to go out there and help his team. He's trying to do what he can. It's up to Cal to make that decision. That's the conversation we could have. And really at this point, it's a moot point. But I when I think about that situation, I think like, I don't think Boogie could have or should have been expected to do anything differently. The only thing we can say is maybe Cal should have made the decision to be like, you know what? Is this really going to help the team? Is this really going to help Boogie? And there we can go. But really, we'll just see how he does for Todd Gold next year at Florida for $7 million.
And I don't think that Boogie hurt his stock at all by coming back. What did he do poorly after coming back from being immobilized with his hand for 2 months? He shot poorly.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was expecting him to come in and shoot, 50% from three or whatever after that. But he came back and he made an impact for a team that won a pair of NCAA tournament games against really good programs. He was awesome on the defensive end of the floor. He wasn't turning it over. He was playing heavy minutes for a guy who'd been out for a long time. I thought he did well there. I know it's easy to look at that and be like, oh, did that tank him? But he was like pushing lottery status. And then he got off to it. It was the combination of getting off to a slow start in SEC play and then the injury. And so he was already, that arrow was pointing in the opposite direction. And then he didn't play for months while all these other guys were. And so that's kind of what set him back. But I don't think the coming back aspect of it really had anything to do with it. I think he was an asset for him there.
Also, RS Sports just says, I can't believe what you see in social media or hear on radios or podcasts without solid evidence.
Well, I just want to point out that this was an interview with an agent who represents these, you know what I mean? And so that's why it wasn't like whoever's on Out of Bounds now. It's just like, well, just like you were just saying, I'm hearing that he had character concerns. So that was the deal. Like, no, this is a guy who was allegedly considering representing him and, has been having these conversations with all these NFL franchises and everything. And that's the intel that he has there. I mean, that's, it's not bona fide. It's like they don't have Andrew Armstrong acting a fool on camera or video or something, but this is a guy who theoretically should be in the know and be respected for his opinion and would really have no reason to hop on the air and lie about something like that unless he was just, confused. So that I think is why it's become a talking point, honestly, if, it was who was saying it. It wasn't just some folks on a podcast or whatever that were putting it out there. So,
yeah. Also, Adam says, Curtis, who would you like to see Arkansas schedule for the non-conference portion of the season for basketball?
I don't know. I mean, the Duke thing is cool. I just wanted to be something different. And I've always said that. I like the regional games, like when they played Baylor or whatever, like that's all cool. But I got to be honest, like I get a little bit played out with the Southwest Conference rivalry. I don't care, dude. Like I'm not that old. No disrespect, but it's just true. Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. I just want to see them play somebody that they haven't really played. And I don't like, I either want it to be at home or somewhere cool, right? Like for a neutral site. But like the rumblings about a series with Gonzaga, I think that'd be awesome. I know we just saw him in the NCAA tournament, but like you really don't play him in the regular season. Something like that would be cool. I would love to see him play UConn, or something like that would be pretty neat. Just get outside the region a little bit, and I think it would be a lot of fun. USC obviously would be cool for different reasons, so I could throw that in there. But I would say, yeah, USC, Gonzaga, UConn, North Carolina, just for the sake of it being North Carolina, would be cool. If I was to do one regional thing, and then I'll stop yapping about it, it would be Kansas for a game that actually counts. Because it's not a far drive. It's like, 4 hours or less. And I think that would be a really cool series to have on each other's respective campuses. I'd be a little bit, I'd go and I'd be excited, but if they played it at like T-Mobile in Kansas City or something, it'd be like, okay. But you're so close. Like, why not do a home and home? I mean, wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah. No, home and homes have to happen because to me, you're looking at Bog Allen Fieldhouse and Bud Walton Arena, and you're like choosing not to play at one of those places. That makes no sense. Like, yeah. Like you have two of the like most well-known arenas, especially Fog Allen Fieldhouse, and you don't play there. That doesn't make any sense too. So, our guy Dre also with Super Chat, appreciate it, man. He says BYU would be a cool non-conference.
It'd be really cool this year. And if I think they're playing at one of the events at Madison Square Garden, I saw. So if Cal's really trying to get back over there, I don't know. I mean, that'd be cool.
I'd like to see, UCLA randomly too. I don't know why. I don't think Arkansas played UCLA since like 95 when they lost. We need revenge. We need revenge for that game in 95. So
give me that.
I'd like to see that too. So, all right, guys. Well, any final thoughts here on the show before we roll out for the week?
No. Enjoy your weekends.
My final thoughts are going to be some of these plays from BetSaracen.
Okay.
We had a good night yesterday. We had a good day. Curtis, I'm glad you had some fun. I'm glad you made some money. Curtis, I think we got to go back to the first pitch ball well.
Yeah, man. Gage
Wood is minus 195 to throw a strike on the first pitch. Gage Wood's a strike thrower. He's got good command. Plus 160 for a ball. I don't know, man. I kind of like that. Plus 160. Wow. Also, Gage, by the way, the way he threw the ball yesterday or last week, awesome. He's going to come out throwing it hard. I could see him throwing a fastball high for ball one. I like that one. Overall, now, by the way, I want to clarify because I said this yesterday, if y'all remember, wait until 6 p.m. Set an alarm, set a reminder on your phone because these bets, these specials do go away about 15 minutes before first pitch. So you got to there's a window there. But some of this is going to be determined by the lineup. Now, I anticipate Carson Bowles 1,000% going to be in the lineup. He started last night against a righty. I would assume they're not going to start Kendall Diggs against a lefty tonight. Carson Bowles is plus 900 once again to hit a home run. So if you liked it, feel like he's likely to hit another one, you can go right back to that well. Keep an eye on who starts at first base. If and only if it is Rocco Pepe, he is plus 900 to hit a home run tonight. Hey, if it's Reese Robinette against a lefty, he's plus 700. So not bad there. A couple more that I like. We did the one yesterday that was like Vahiva Aloy and Brent Iredale to get, I think it was 2 RBIs and 2 walks. We were a walk shy. Vahiva Aloy got the 2 RBIs and the 1 walk by himself. Just got a double from Brent Iredale, but not much. I like this one. Kahio Aloy and Cam Kojal combined over 1.5 extra base hits, over 1.5 base on balls. Kahio Aloy, pretty much every at-bat of his is an extra base hit or a ball or a walk or a strikeout. And so I think there's a good chance for a couple walks there. Cam Kojal's not a huge walk guy, but he does have a lot of extra base hits and could very well get pitched around after homering yesterday. That is plus 450. I really like that one. There's a couple here that I think y'all should avoid. The Carson Wiggins one, the dude's out for the weekend. Do not bet anything on Carson Wiggins. Do not bet the Gage Wood one. Over 3 2/3 innings pitched, over 5.5 strikeouts. He almost did that last week. And so you think, hey, with a little bit more pitch count, he could totally do it. The odds don't really check out for how unlikely it is. His pitch count is going to be at like 50-55. Also, there's one that's Cam Kojal over 0.5 home runs and Arkansas to win. That's plus 300. But if you scroll down a little bit more, Cam Kojal just over 0.5 home runs is plus 325. So they're offering you worse odds on a harder parlay. So just there's a couple you can avoid there, but I really like the ones that I listed out. Check the starting lineup though. Don't just blindly bet on Rocco Pepe home run and then not see if he's in the starting lineup. If he's in the starting lineup, I love the odds on plus 900. This dude hit 15 home runs last year. He's got power. He led Arkansas in home runs in the fall. He's got some power. You'll never get plus 900 odds on him again after he hits one tonight.
Well, good to know. And so hopefully we keep it going. It's going to be a great one here tonight. But here's my final thought, guys. And this is random, but I want to give you guys a trivia question just to make fun of Missouri. And hopefully you indulge me for a second. Shout out to my buddy Devin for this one. How many SEC wins do you think Missouri has in football, men's basketball, women's basketball, softball, and baseball all combined? How many wins? I'll give you.
You didn't say football, right?
No, I included football.
Okay, so football, men's and women's basketball?
Yep. And softball and baseball. They're
so
98.
Baseball. I know that one. They have 0 in baseball.
They have 98 possible SEC. They've played 98, or they have 98 SEC games that they've played among all those. How many of those have been wins among those sports combined?
12.
18.
22.
Okay.
So I think they had like 9 or something for basketball, 9 or 10 for basketball. Right?
Yeah, that's what saved them, because they had 5 in football, 10 in men's basketball, 3 in women's basketball, 4 in softball, and 0 in baseball.
That's crazy. And this is also an athletic department that had a 0-win basketball season less than 2 years ago. Did y'all see the quote from Missouri's AD that basically was just like, yeah, we have not committed to baseball at all, and I'm sorry about that. We're not going to fire the coach. We're just going to have to support him better. And then they asked him about some other sport, and he's like, yeah, our facilities are really bad. I don't know, man. Like, he just was like, he did a State of the Union that was just like, I'm sorry.
Jeez. Well, at least they're going to admit it. But anyways, I saw that and I had to share because it's like, well, makes you feel a little bit better. But shout out to Dennis Gates for keeping your athletic department going with the SEC wins for this past year. So
carrying them.
Yeah, carrying them all there. Man. Well, either way, hey, folks, we appreciate all of you listening in, watching in here on Inside Arkansas Live. Be sure to subscribe to us here on all of our social medias, but even on our YouTube. We're getting close to 10,000 subscribers, so really appreciate everybody supporting us that way. And all the members, because everyone's talking about being a member here on YouTube. And yeah, we appreciate your support that way too. And we're going to continue to have a great weekend. Be sure to subscribe to us. Be sure to check out all of our audio podcasts, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, or the Bombastic Podcast. And on social media, InsideArkansas.com. And also come and hang out with us Monday, as Inside Arkansas Live will be live for Cinco de Mayo at El Mezcal there in Fayetteville off the square. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But be sure to tune in, be sure to hang out, and be sure to have a great weekend. So for Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel next Monday, live from El Mezcal in Fayetteville. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you then.